The lights were dark, the room was delightfully cool, and the music was blaring from speakers in every which direction. It was only 8 o'clock in the evening, and the sun was just now beginning to set on that summer night. Nathan Seymour was draped across the luxuriously soft bench of the karaoke booth. One leg crossed over the other, with their arms resting up along the back. On one side of them was Keith Goodman, who was scrolling through the list of songs on the control pad. On the other was Ivan Carolyn, who was poring over the drink specials menu with Antonio Lopez and practically hanging off his arm like it wasn't the most obvious thing in the world. Next to them were Lara Tchaikovskaya, Huang Paolin, and Tsuburo Sengoku, who were bobbing and swaying as they whooped joyously along with the music, while Thomas Torres did his best impression of a disgruntled statue across from them, his arms folded obstinately over his chest. Karina Lyle and Ryan Goldsmith stood at the front of the room together in their plainclothes, Ryan all shimmering gold on black, and Karina with her fitted ice blue t-shirt and pristine white capris, singing into the karaoke microphones as words lit along the big screen TV mounted overhead.
I'm feeling DVS. You're looking glamorous. Let's get mischievous and polyamorous. Wine and women and wonderful vices. Welcome to the cold top. Dionysus.
Nathan nodded their head along to the music, a deeply contented smile curling along their lips as they watched the two of them. They were in perfect harmony, up close and personal, leaving just enough space between them to maintain the barest semblance of decency. But for who? Paolin and Lara? The whole group? Or rather, the corners of Nathan's eyes crinkled and their smile widened as Ryan took Karina's hand to help her climb up onto the table in the middle of the room, her trendy high-heeled boots tapping out the rhythm as she let her singing voice run with wild abandon. They knew if they asked either of the two, they would puff up and make a big show of scoffing at the idea. But right now, in the heat of things, when they forgot that they, themselves, were watching the other, Nathan could see the tenderness in their briefly shared touches. Oh, honey, the two were absolutely hopeless. But if Nathan had anything to say about it, and they didn't build the de facto energy company of Stern Bild by not having loud, outspoken opinions about a lot of things, they wouldn't be for long. Just call Nathan Seymour Cupid's little helper, because so help them, they were going to set these sweet-hearted idiots up. I think I'm going to sing this, Keith suddenly announced, and Nathan was broken from their thoughts as he pushed the keypad under their nose for them to see. Backstreet Boys? Nathan asked incredulously, their brow raising as they read the listing. You listen to Backstreet Boys? When they looked back up, Keith was giving them his big blue puppy dog eyes, looking like someone had taken his favorite tennis ball and was refusing to throw it. What's wrong with the Backstreet Boys? He countered. They waited for him to start laughing. He did not. Nathan couldn't hide the endeared smile that curled at their lips. Nothing, they settled on. I just didn't think you were so retro. Keith was such a good sport. He brightened up immediately, beaming proudly as he locked in everybody for his upcoming slot. Retro, huh? He laughed. I never thought of it that way before. Hey everyone, we're about to put in the drink orders, Ivan called over the music. Last call for snacks this round. Oh! Lara lunged over Paolin, nearly toppling her over as she scrambled for Ivan and Antonio to hear her small voice. Can we get some fries for everyone too? Hell yes, we can get fries, Antonio agreed, scribbling it down on his scratch paper. And you got my takoyaki already, right? Subaru piped up. Guys! Paolin squeaked out as Subaru lunged over both her and Lara, squishing down on her ribs and knocking the wind out of here. You're crushing me! Hey, Black. Get your shit together and act like an adult for once. Thomas grumbled from across the room. We got the takoyaki, we got the mozzarella sticks, we got everyone's drinks, and we got the fries, Antonio confirmed. Sky high, said Ivan. Since you've got the keypad, will you put everything in? But, Keith protested, shouldn't we wait for Barnaby? Barnaby's ditched us the last 3 times, Subaru complained. If he wants something, he can order it when he gets here. Keith, frowning, pulled the keypad a little bit closer to his chest. But I really think we ought to... Oh, just give it here, I'll do it. Hey, Black, wait a second. Cat, get off me. Well, Black needs to get off me. Bison, help! Can't you all just calm down? Nathan burst into a rumbling fit of laughter, hastily hiding their huge grin behind the palm of their pristinely manicured hand. Their friends were a sudden whirlwind blob of wrestling heroes, with Subaru trying to climb his way up Keith, who held the karaoke keypad high overhead, Laura and Paolin struggling to untangle themselves from each other, and Antonio and Ivan trying to pull everyone apart. Thomas rolled his eyes and brooded in his seat, watching them all from under his blue hood with the pretense of boredom, but even he wasn't immune. Nathan could see his twitching lips fighting to remain neutral regardless of the low lighting. Karina and Ryan, on the other hand, when Nathan stole another look in their direction, they were absorbed wholly and completely in their song. She had placed her hands on his shoulders to hop off the table, and although every last one of them knew she could stick such a tiny landing with no help whatsoever, the one benefit to constantly fighting crime in her hero suit's 4-inch heels, Ryan's hands came gently to her waist to guide her jump, and trusting him completely, she never looked away from his face. They were just inches from each other, Nathan mused, so close and so lost in their moment. They wanted to just grab them both by the shoulders and smush their faces together. Get the hint, you colossal idiots! Get the fucking hint! And for a second he thought maybe they would, because the song came to a quick end and they lingered, smiling, ready. And maybe if no one else was there... But then again, they were all there, and when one of Ivan's boots went sailing through the air to smack straight into the side of Ryan's head and send him down, the moment was inarguably destroyed. Karina whipped around with the fury of 1,000 suns in her eyes. "What the hell?" she snapped. "Everyone, chill the fuck out!" And just like that, she dived into the frenzy while Ryan, stunned, laid on the floor where he fell and tried to process what had happened. Keith wasn't prepared for her sudden attack, and suddenly he was sucked down into the mob, never to be seen again. The keypad went clattering forgotten to the floor. Nathan rolled their eyes. The door opened, and Barnaby stood at the threshold for a second watching the chaos. Nathan was certain he was calculating whether to bother with this mess or to sneak away while nobody noticed. His gaze trailed over the room until they came to land on Nathan's. For a second they held there, and they could see something akin to nerves reflected in Barnaby's green eyes. It was gone in seconds as he abruptly stood up straight and smiled warmly at them, then came fully into the room to pick the keypad up from the floor. "French fries, takoyaki, mozzarella sticks," he read aloud, dragging his finger over the screen as he considered the order. "I can't believe you all forgot the pretzel tray." He tapped, then scrolled further down. "Barnaby? Wait, Barnaby's here? Oh, shit, really? Barnaby, help!" Barnaby ignored his pile of friends as he hummed over the menu, then picked his drink and sent in the order. He set the keypad neatly on the table when he was done. "Hey, handsome," Nathan greeted him. "We've missed you these last few times." "Sorry," Barnaby said. "Life's just been so busy lately." He went to sit in his usual spot at the very end of the booth, a space away from Thomas, and kicked back with a little sigh as he crossed his legs at the ankles. Some new song was playing in the background, something fast-paced and energetic. But no one seemed to remember who slotted it into the queue. Karina helped Ryan up, and one by one everyone took their seats, exchanging looks as they tried to decide who should speak first, and perhaps what they ought to even say. After all, nobody bought that life's been busy bullshit. At least, Nathan knew they didn't. Barnaby had always been a little flaky, even back to the very early days of his career. The first time trying to take him out for drinks had been as painful as pulling teeth. Things had only changed after they defeated Jake Martinez, and even then the driving factor had probably been that he tended to follow Kotetsu around like a duckling. To this day, it was strange to see him by himself, to see the empty space next to him. It wouldn't be for long, of course. It was only a matter of time until Apollon found a partner that Barnaby would be able to work with, and then someone new would take that empty spot. That was going to be much, much more strange. Couldn't get a hold of Tiger, huh? Nathan lamented. Barnaby shrugged with a sheepish smile. Well, it's busy for him too, he laughed it off. Looking for a new job, Kaede moving to the city soon. He's got his hands full. Maybe next time, Antonio said. I bet it's killing him to be missing this right now. And it probably was. Kotetsu had always been the most sociable of all of them, even during the days when they saw each other more as rivals than teammates. He had always been the one to invite them out for drinks, for movies, for just hanging around the West Silver Mall or the boardwalk in South Bronx. They hadn't seen him since he retired the third time. He must have been running up the walls trying to get his life together. You know Kotetsu, Barnaby laughed again. He'll come back when he just can't stand it anymore. Until then, I bet a little bit of space will be good for him. He seemed so calm about it that the tension began to dissolve and Nathan's friends all began to relax again. A Britney Spears song came up on the cue and Kat and Subaru jumped up eagerly to sing together. Everyone laughed and clapped them on, and even Thomas looked less like a sulking teen than usual. Barnaby clapped along with everyone else, the smile wide across his face. Nathan felt like they were the only one who saw how hollow it rang. Kotetsu was at the grocery store that evening, running the last of his errands for the day. His immaculately penned list was short and full of the usual things. Bulk veggies, cheap, small portions of proteins, and some fruits here and there. He probably didn't even need a list at this point to get everything together, because besides a few staples and cleaning supplies that only needed to be replaced once in a while, the contents of the cart rarely changed. He was humming and hawing over the pile of spring onions in the produce section when he felt his phone buzz in his pocket. Hold on, he mumbled. Hold on. If I don't get the right ones... The phone buzzed again, and again. Not just a text, a call. It must have been Kaede. She was really getting excited. Distracted, Kotetsu fumbled briefly with his phone as he pulled it from his pocket and swiped to accept the call. Kaede, he greeted. Sorry, Dad's out shopping right now, but... Kotetsu, it's me. Kotetsu froze, free hand outstretched towards the spring onions. He hadn't been expecting that voice. They were all supposed to be out tonight, weren't they? He checked his watch, his eyes landing on the tiny date marker at the bottom of its digital display. It was karaoke night. They should have all been busy until midnight or later. He chewed on his tongue for a second too long. Kotetsu, are you there? Yeah, I'm here. Hey, Antonio. He was really hoping they'd have been having too good a time to think about him. He could hear the noise and music faintly in the background of Antonio's call, but no other voices, so at the very least he wasn't in the room with the others. Kotetsu didn't think he could handle talking to all of them at once right now. Hey bud, hope I'm not bugging you. We just haven't seen you in a while. Everyone's a little worried. I know you're not a hero anymore, but it still ain't like you to miss karaoke night. You know you can still hang out with us, right? I know, Kotetsu answered. Bunny always makes sure to invite me along. Sorry, man, it's just been so busy lately. He tucked his phone between his ear and his shoulder as he picked one of the bunches of spring onions, using his newly freed hand to pull down a plastic produce bag and shake it open. The job hunt's going a little bit harder than I expected is all. It's taken a lot out of me. And then I'm going to pick Kaede up on Sunday to help her move into her dorm. Can you believe it? A dorm? I didn't think I'd have to worry about that until she went to college. Antonio laughed across the line, and Kotetsu smiled. My god, where did the time go? His friend wondered. Feels like just the other day she started grade school. You're telling me. And then we'll be saying the same thing in a few years when she's a fully licensed hero. 4 bunches of spring onions, perfectly bright green and crisp, now sat in the produce bag. Kotetsu carefully wound and tucked the loose end shut and dropped it into the cart. Skip the mushroom display. Next was spinach. He wheeled his half-cart along, ignoring the squeaky wheel. Well, it's good to hear you're keeping busy at least. I'll let everyone know you're doing okay. Thanks, Antonio. By the way, man, do me a favor, will ya? Sure, fire away. Call Barnaby back. Kotetsu froze again, midway between shoving a bunch of spinach into a new produce bag. He nearly wheezed, then tried to laugh it off. What do you mean, call him back? What makes you think I'm not? Kotetsu. He squirmed uncomfortably and randomly grabbed 2 more bunches, shoving them into the bag unceremoniously before speeding off towards the peppers. Look, like I said, I'm busy, he's busy, and it's not like I'm ghosting him, I just, it's hard. He's got his life and I shouldn't. It's not right that you're making him worry. And suddenly, he was back in the hospital. Tomoe laying sick and dying in front of him. Her skin was pallid, her breathing rough, telling him with such a brave face to go out and be a hero. And she would be waiting for him when he came back. Hot shame filled every last bone in his body. He wondered if she watched him run undauntedly into the burning building with nothing but blue spandex and determined grit. He wondered if it was the worry and stress that finally tipped her over the edge. It really wasn't right to make them worry. I know, he finally bit out. I know, I'm sorry. It's hard. It's just hard. But I will. I promise. Good. He'll be happy to hear from you. The PA sounded overhead, 3 chime-like dings that led to a pre-recorded message announcing the last 10 minutes before the stores closed. Kotetsu's head snapped up towards the ceiling, then back down towards his cart. He still needed half of the things on the usual list, then needed to do one last check to make sure there wasn't anything unusual he was supposed to grab. Hey, can I call you back tomorrow? He asked Antonio. What was that? His friend countered. Wait, are you at the store right now? It's nearly 10. Yeah, well... He grabbed an armful of peppers and tipped them into his cart before making a dangerously unstable 360-degree turn and rushing towards the fruits. I've got something to do tomorrow and I won't be able to get my shopping done, so I figured why put it off, right? The chore done early is one less thing to worry about. Antonio hesitated. Kotetsu prayed to the goddess of justice that he wouldn't see through the ruse. And whether he did or not, at least he didn't call him out on it. Alright, whatever, Antonio said. Have fun with your fried rice. Just make sure to call Barnaby, okay? And come to karaoke night once in a while. We miss you. And that was that. Kotetsu slipped his phone back into his pocket and straightened his cap, took count of the perfectly green apples he'd snatched up, and dumped those in his cart too. The last thing he needed to pick up was a dozen eggs and he'd be out. He shifted to pull the half-crumpled shopping list from his back pocket and give it one last look over, searching the tight, immaculate cursive letters for anything he'd missed. He mentally checked off each item as he read them until his eye settled on eggs, soon to be checked, and the last thing listed underneath that. Kotetsu frowned at it. Thumbprint cookies, he read aloud, scratching his beard. What the hell's a thumbprint cookie? His watch blinked at him. 9:53. He didn't have time to stand around thinking. With a huff, he spun on his heel and made his way off down the grocery aisles.